What's up, everybody? This is Tech G back with another video to help you successfully pass the CompTIA A+ 1202 certification exams. So let's get into it. All right, so you're studying for the CompTIA A+ 1202 exam, and you've hit the section on Microsoft Windows operating system features and tools. So here's the thing. This is one of those topics that's deceptively important. A lot of people think, oh, I've used Windows before. I know Task Manager. But the A+ wants you to go deeper. You need to know what each tool does, when to use it, and how it can save the day when you are troubleshooting. So with that being said, let's go. All right, so let's talk about the Task Manager. So if Windows were a car, then the Task Manager, this will be the dashboard and the mechanics toolkit all in one. You can open it by pressing Control, Shift, and Escape, or you can right-click the taskbar and select Task Manager, or you can press Control, Alt, Delete and choose Task Manager. And once inside, you're going to have several tabs to work with. The first one is going to be the Processes tab, which you can see on your screen right here. And basically, this shows you all of the running applications and background processes. You can end tasks if something is frozen. This is useful for identifying CPU, memory, disk, and network hogs. Then there's the Performance tab, and this displays real-time graphs for CPU, memory, disk, and network usage. This is great for spotting resource bottlenecks. You also have the Startup tab, and this controls which programs load when Windows starts. And you can go in there and disable unnecessary startup applications, which can dramatically speed up your boot time. You also have the Users tab, and this shows you which users are logged in and their resource usage. And this is great for shared systems or remote troubleshooting. And then you have the Services tab, and this lets you start, stop, or restart Windows services. And this is useful when an application isn't working because its related service is not running. All right, next let's talk about the MMC, or the Microsoft Management Console. And this is a framework that hosts various administrative tools, which are called snap-ins. And you can open it by pressing the Windows key +R and typing MMC and then hitting enter. Now, here are some of the important snap-ins that you need to know for the A+ exam. You have what is called the Event Viewer. Basically, this is the black box recorder of Windows where it logs systems, applications, and security events, and you use it to troubleshoot crashes, failed logins, or hardware issues. You also have Disk Management, and this is for partitioning, formatting, and assigning drive letters, where you can shrink, extend, or delete volumes as well. You have the Task Scheduler, and this allows you to automate tasks based on a trigger, such as time or event. You have the Device Manager, where this shows you all of the hardware and their drivers. You have the Certificate Manager. This allows you to manage digital certificates for encryption and authentication. You have what is called Local Users and Groups, and this manages your local user accounts and groups. You have your Performance Monitor, and this is an advanced tool for tracking long-term performance trends. And then you have what is called the Group Policy Editor, and this configures security and administrative policies. And here are some additional Windows tools that you need to be concerned with. Now, these aren't MMC snap-ins, but they are lifesavers for troubleshooting. So you have System Information, and this is basically your one-stop shop for detailed hardware and software specifications. You have your Resource Monitor. This is more detailed than your Task Manager, and this shows you which specific processes are using up your CPU, your disk, your network, and or your memory. You have your System Configuration, and this controls your startup behavior, your boot options, and your services. You got your disk cleanup. This frees space by removing temporary files, old Windows updates, and the recycling bin data. You also have your disk fragmenter. This rearranges data for faster access, mostly on HDDs and not on SSDs. And then you have your registry editor. And this directly edits Windows settings in the registry database. However, you want to be cautious about using this because mistakes that you make up in there can break your operating system. All right, so now that we've gone through all of that, let's walk through a real life troubleshooting scenario using multiple tools. So here's your scenario. A user complains that their computer is slow and they can't open certain files and the printer doesn't work. Well, here's how you're going to go about solving this. You're going to go to the Task Manager. You're going to check out the processes and performance. You're going to check the CPU and the memory usage, and you're going to go in there and discover that there's a program in there using up 95% of the RAM. You're going to go to your Startup tab and disable any unnecessary startup applications. You're going to go to your Services tab and restart the print spooler. You're going to go to your Device Manager and update the print driver. You're then going to go to the Event Viewer and check for file access errors. You're going to go go to your disk cleanup and free up 12 gigabytes of space. You're going to go to your resource monitor and verify that there are no background processes that are still eating up the bandwidth. Then you're going to go to the group policy editor and make sure that no policies are blocking file access. And if you do all of that in less than 1 hour, you can have that PC running smoother, printing papers like a champion, and files that are opening without any errors. It's just that simple, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so here are some exam tips that you need to know for the A+ exam. You want to memorize the tool names and the commands, like the event viewer and the msconfig command. You want to understand when to use each tool and not just what it does. You want to know safe versus risky tools. So remember, the registry editor, this can break things if used incorrectly. And you need to expect scenario-based questions like a user can't log in, so which tool do they use to view failed in log attempts? And the answer to that is the event viewer. So those are just some things to keep in mind as you're preparing for your 1202 exam. Now, let me go ahead and wrap all this up. So the Windows tools in this section aren't just exam trivia. They're your bread and butter as an IT technician. Whether you're fixing a slow PC, managing a network, or locking down security, these utilities are your go-to. And the more you practice using them, then the more confident you'll be in both the exam and in the real world. All right, so with all of that being said, let's do some check on learning. So our first question is, a user complains that their Windows PC is taking a long time to boot. You want to identify and disable unnecessary programs that come on automatically when Windows launches. Which tool should you use? Should you use the event viewer, the task manager startup tab, the systems configuration, or disk cleanup? And of course, you're going to go to the task manager and select the startup tab. So the startup tab in task manager, this lists programs set to launch at boot and allows you to enable or disable them, while system configuration can also manage startup programs in older versions of Windows. The current recommended method in modern Windows is through the task manager. An event viewer, this tracks system events, and disk cleanup, this removes temporary files, and neither of those manages startup applications. Next question. You suspect a user's computer is running slowly because a specific process is consuming too much CPU and memory. Which Windows tool provides real-time graphs of system performance and allows you to view detailed usage by type? Would this be the resource monitor, disk management, the group policy editor, or the certificate manager? And the correct answer is the resource monitor. So the resource monitor, this gives detailed real-time usage of CPU, memory, disk, and network, helping pinpoint which processes are consuming resources. Disk management, this handles partitions. Group policy editor, this controls system policies. And the certificate manager manages security certificates. And none of those answers other than resource monitor provide the performance data that you are looking for. And our final question is, a company wants to prevent employees from using USB storage devices on their work computers. Which Windows tool allows you to configure a rule that disables USB storage for all users on a specific machine? Would this be the task scheduler, the device manager, system information, or the group policy editor? And the correct answer is this will be the group policy editor. So group policy editor, this is used to configure and enforce administrative and security policies, including disabling USB storage devices. Device manager, this can disable hardware manually, but it doesn't enforce a policy across users. The task scheduler, this automates tasks, and system information only displays system details.